The following segment is presented in partnership with Future 42. Turn your frustration into action at future42.org. For people who aren't familiar with how you got to be Andrea Suarez of We Heart Seattle, take them back to when that kind of inception started.
Gosh, it went back 2.5 years ago. I had no intention to become a truth teller. I had no intention to be in the belly of the beast facing our city, which is our homelessness crisis, addiction, and public safety crisis. But what I got after was the trash and the needles that were everywhere. And I was that woman. Oh my gosh, there's needles everywhere. And we started in Denny Park in fall of 2020. And since then have removed more than 20,000 needles from our parks and shared spaces, almost 1 million pounds of trash using volunteers and some paid lived experience staff as well that we've met along the way and reintegrated into society, something I also did not know that I would do. And I just wanted to do some litter picking. So it's been quite a journey and now a movement.
You know, there's a lot of people that complain about the trash in Seattle. I complain about the trash in Seattle. There are few people who will go pick it up. So for you, how did you go from the point of, oh, there's trash and that bothers me, to I am going to go out there and pick it up myself?
Well, I tried to use the Find It, Fix It app and call the services, and I brought my council member to the park and the deputy mayor and called the chambers and found out the Adopt a Street program wasn't working. And I thought, so it's just bags and pinchers and sharps containers, right? And I just started picking it up about a month in after all those resources fell flat. The pandemic and COVID was an excuse for everything. People were languishing and dying. Rats were everywhere. Our most vulnerable population wasn't able to access the park. I didn't care about me not being able to use the park. But Denny Park and Bell Street Park, where I live, is surrounded by low-income housing, Plymouth housing, senior citizen housing, family housing, and all of our social services. So how is all of that chaos healthy? I call it a lack of community harm reduction. And I'm getting quite woke with my terminology these days that I didn't realize it then, but we very much are providing waste management as a form of community harm reduction.
You mentioned at the beginning, you know, you never set out to be a truth teller. You were just going to pick up some of this trash and some of these needles. And what is really so funny is how quickly the act of picking up garbage became, in Seattle, of course, controversial. Did you, I guess, how surprised were you that there were people who actually had a problem with you picking up literal trash?
It was wild. I mean, I did not realize how polarizing of a situation I was stepping into. I went right away to the needle exchange on 4th and Blanchard, and I'm like, there's needles everywhere. Where's the exchange and needle exchange? And I was a little flippant. I didn't realize I was waking up this activist monster that came after me and still does. I have a horrific online defamation of character campaign against me just for picking up trash with the help of the homeless. In fact, we have a stipend program and a work therapy program where folks living outside now pick litter with us. They volunteer. We provide basic needs stipends. It's a beautiful thing. They've expressed they've never felt love and hope before in their life because we empower, we do not enable. And one fateful day in Miller Park, January 1 of 2021, I was out there scouting because that's when CHOP had taken over Miller Park. And there were some folks out there grilling hamburgers on top of heaps of trash and rats and squalor. And I'm like, you're enabling people to stay here. And that was the dirtiest word I could have ever said. And I had no idea that you couldn't say the word enable in Seattle. And it started everything. All the shade started coming. And I'm like, it's just trash.
Yeah. As you have gone about, you know, and people have joined you in this effort, who are they? Who are the citizens who have stepped up with you?
That's a great question. The people who have gotten involved with We Heart Seattle are people who are frustrated. They want to do something. They're action-oriented. They are leftists. They are rightists. They are everybody in between. It's very collaborative. We're apolitical, but we are a bridge builder in the community. It's one of the things I'm most proud about. You were at that dinner we had on January 7th at the WAC where there were so many people in that room that were like, how did you get all of these different characters in the same room? I'm like, because it's just trash.
It's just trash.
Can we all just get, I have met so many people along the way. You should talk to these people. You should talk to these people. But it just goes to show that everybody wants change. There's something very broken about the millions and billions going into solving our crisis with more deaths than ever, more homeless on our street than ever. And this is, why we're here today is how in the heck did I go from picking up some trash and helping some people along the way to now being a subject matter expert, but what I would say about truth is it is my own experience. I didn't read it. I didn't go to school for it. I didn't have somebody else tell me this is the way it is. Some people said, oh, yeah, you're starting to get into that homeless industrial complex thing and you're going to start to see. And I'm like, okay, well, let me form my own opinion. And for 2.5 years, through my volunteers and through working with the homeless, they are my educators. They were the truth tellers. To your point, another woman you're going to have on your show at some point, people with lived experience, just like in regular population, you have half people that vote Republican, the other half vote Democrat, half people are super religious, the other people are kind of agnostic. Homeless people are the same way. And so they're like, you all are crazy. Stop putting words in my mouth. They are chasing activists out of the camp. They're chasing activists out of the sweep, saying, stop speaking for us. We don't mind being swept. We don't want to live on a heap of trash and rats' nests. And that is what's mind-boggling is, my truth very much is my own personal experience, and my call to action is to get involved, come volunteer, come see for yourself. Maybe you don't believe the news, you don't trust politicians, you don't know where to go for your news. Get out there yourself and see for yourself. We have an addiction crisis facing Seattle.
The previous segment was brought to you in partnership with Future 42. Turn your frustration into action at future42.org.